Welcome to the Destinations with Doni podcast, where we explore your cultural passions. Destination home, cuisine, community, relationships, and passion. Embrace your cultural identity as we bring you the tools to live in full color. Welcome to another edition of Destinations with Doni. I'm so excited today to introduce you to Michelle Fox. I've actually known Michelle, I don't know how long. It's like 20 years.
At least. Because when
Oh
I
my
think
God.
of my daughter, who's
Oh, she's
16, you guys
17.
are actually birthday twins. She's turning
Yes, birthday
16 this
twins.
year.
Coming up. She'll be 17 soon.
Right?
I will
So
not be
you've known
17
me
soon.
before I even knew I wanted to be a mom. But sorry, I jumped in too quick. I'll let you finish.
No. So we've known each other a while, but I love Michelle has a podcast, Healthy Sexy Nutrition. She's also a nutritionist. She's focusing on people's health and well-being and vitality and balancing the hormones, all the things. Okay. So what's interesting, first of all, I love your social media posts. I love your
Hmm.
reels.
Hmm.
You always include your family, which is one of the reasons that I have you on. I have you on for two reasons. We just featured you in Culture's print magazine and on the website for our Culture Celebrations Costa Rica. Okay. And you did some healthy renditions, I guess is it a rendition? A healthy version of some traditional Tico foods. And so I love that. So we'll talk about how you do that and why you do that, but also because your family is multicultural. So you came to Costa Rica with our team from Cultures, and we had a blast. Your family has always been very open minded, and um, I love seeing how they are included in what you do every day. I love seeing them in the reels. I love you and your husband. Like, okay, the cuteness is a little bit on overload. Like, I was like, I didn't need to see a picture today. Like, what? What? You don't need to be flaunting that for everybody, but but it's literally just so adorable. And you had a post on LinkedIn recently where you said, you asked, what is it that someone doesn't know about you? I know I didn't answer the question. I'm still trying to think what people don't know. But one of what Michelle said is that she used to be a ballerina, a professional ballerina. So let's talk a little bit about your history. Let's talk about how you got to where you are today, what brought you to the nutrition, and then let's chat about what you do.
I love the way that sounds. And before we jump into that, I want to just circle back to what you said about photos of my husband, because you have to know he is actually very shy, very introverted, and he is not all into social media. However, he's willing to show up because we have proof that it gives people hope. Like, I literally just 2 days ago got a DM in my Instagram from a girlfriend who said her man just recently proposed to her, and that she is
Mm.
so grateful to watch my journey over the years because it gave her hope that that could happen for her. And so, yes,
Oh.
that is truly the only reason why I put my life on blast, is to give other people hope. So thank you for
Well,
having
you know
me
what?
here.
So you just told, I'll give you the answer here. I'll put it on LinkedIn too, but you just told me, and this goes to what you're saying. What people wouldn't know about me is I'm an introvert. I am an absolute 100%. I want to stay inside and sit on this couch introvert. I mean,
I get
and
that.
so to
I
hear
get
you
that.
say that, because yeah, I mean, it's so funny how people in our my last episode, I was speaking with Amanda Bate, and we talked about perceptions, and people see you and what they think you're about, right? And so people see me and they think, oh, she wants to be everywhere. She wants to be out in front of things. I'm like, no, I have to force myself to do that. I actually hate it a little bit.
I get that. And because I've had the privilege of traveling with you, I've seen that. You're like, when you're with me, you are present, you are 100%. And when you need a break, you make that very clear. So I have always admired that about you, Donnie.
And that line is very thin, isn't it? I'm like, bye.
Yep. And she's gone. And we know, do not knock on that
I
door.
know, right?
Do not disturb. If the door is closed, Donnie needs her space. And I respect that.
Oh
I
my
get it.
god. But back to you, back to you, back to you. So tell us how you came to this. Tell us, I want to hear more about the ballerina part. I don't think I knew that.
Oh, I love it. So,
Yeah.
yes, one of the many stomping grounds of yours, New York City. I was raised in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, so a suburb
Mhm.
of Denver for my people who are not familiar with Colorado. And I'm an African American woman from an African American family. There were five of us: mom, dad. I've got a sister and a brother. And the main reason I bring that up is because I knew from about the age of 5 that I wanted to be in New York City. An
Mm.
auntie gave me a poster of Judith Jameson, who at the time was the star dancer with Alvin Ailey. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
And so I promise you, everything I did from then on was all about how can I get to New York? And so it was the ballet training, it was the getting straight A's in school, it was the showing my parents I can be independent. So the moment I turned 18, well, and of course graduated high school, I was off to New York City.
I knew you went to school in New York, but I had no idea that that was the journey. What that is fantastic because I was a ballerina when I was younger.
I did not know
You and
that.
I
It does
have
not
very different
surprise
body
me.
types,
But
so there was a point where it was like, no, you can't do this anymore.
I think I missed a detail. Wait, what do you mean? Which part said you couldn't do it anymore?
You and I have very different body types. So there was
Oh,
a point where you know how the industry is. It's like, oh, you might have a little too much of this or that. You can't continue on this path.
got
So
it.
anyway,
Got
but
it.
so that's why I'm extra fascinated because from a young age I did that, right? In Spain I was a ballerina. I actually my best
Mm,
pictures, I love it from when I lived in Spain as a young girl. But that makes this
mm.
extra extraordinary for me to hear your journey and how passionate you were about this, and that's what got you to New York. I had no idea.
Yes. And so I actually got a scholarship to NYU. And so I
Yes,
majored
I
in
did hear
applied
that.
psychology. I found the major that could be, somewhat safe for my parents, but also really easy for me so that I could train, evenings and weekends with the Dance Theater of Harlem. And when I graduated from NYU, that's when I danced full time with the Dance Theater of Harlem. And
Wow.
that was a dream come true, and yet, a lifetime away. I recently turned 50 years old, and I retired from dancing when I was 26. So that, literally, that was half of
Wow.
my life was dance.
Wow. So how many
Yes.
years were you a professional dancer?
Um, well, I guess from my first paycheck, it was really only 2 years, but I
Okay.
started the training right around the age of 5.
Right, of course. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. Wow, I my mind is so blown. Can you just see it?
I
I'm like
can. I love when I can surprise you, Donnie, because you are hard to surprise.
No, that is fantastic. I love it. So okay, so tell us that journey. So from you said 26 to now.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
then I actually fell in love with a man who would become my husband, and he lived in Denver at the time, the city, close to where
Did you
I grew up.
yes. Yes.
Yes,
Denver,
and so he
Colorado,
was the
USA.
hero to my family. Yes, he brought me home from New York because, you know, it is easy to glorify being a professional ballet dancer in New York, but the parts that we don't often talk about are, the eating disorder, by the way, and
Yes.
the
I know
having
this well, yes.
having 5
That's why I brought
roommates
up
in
the
New
body
York
type.
so that I
Yes.
could afford to live in New York City, and you know, training and pushing my body so hard all day and then working a part-time job at night, like it
Wow.
was like either keep going that direction or, oh, here's this man I'm in love with who I could probably build a family with if I moved to Denver and slow life down a little bit. And so that was the choice.
Again, you see my face. My mind is blown because I had no idea that's how you two met.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was actually a blind date, I will say. It was a girlfriend who lived in the same condo as he did at that time, and she's like, huh, and she hooked it up.
Fantastic. Okay,
Mhm.
so fast forward, you're now living in Denver.
Yes, fast forward to the point of why I do the work that I do. I am a
Yes.
culinary nutritionist, as you mentioned, and my father passed away about 9 years ago, and it was
Yeah.
because of high blood pressure and from a stroke. And it was due to what I believe were diseases that can definitely be prevented through nutrition, through mindset, through less stress, all the things that, this African American father of mine really had a hard time managing. And I couldn't save his life, but
Mm.
I wake up every morning asking myself, like, how can I create a healthier community? How can I reach even just one person so that they don't have the early demise that my father did?
Wow. Wow. Again, mind blown. And
Hmm.
your father was also always so calm and really just a bastion of peace. But now that you talk about all that stress, that probably makes it worse because you just internalize all of that.
Exactly. Another Scorpio introvert, which, by the way, my second husband, Steve, whom I'm currently married to, I pretty much married my dad, accountant. I mean, my dad and Steve have so much in common. So, of course,
Mm.
this is actually the first time I've said that out loud, but there's a lot that translates to how I do watch and help what he eats. And I'm
Mm.
really concerned about the stress that he takes in because I love him. I want him to stick around.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So then, okay, this now translates to, well, let's talk about Costa Rica, and then we
Mm.
could talk about how you do this every day, what you do in your job as a culinary nutritionist. So you came to Costa Rica. We had a fantastic day. I was on your podcast.
Yes.
And
So much
we
fun.
made a delicious meal for the team that was there and featured some of that in the magazine. So tell us how you come up with your creations. You've told us why you do it, but how do you do it?
Yes. So I am really fond of making traditional meals simple. And when I use the word simple, not only are they simple to make, but it's simple ingredients because I truly, truly, truly believe that food is medicine. I also truly believe that people shouldn't be in pain or feel like they're missing out. So, if you have a favorite food, I'm like, sweet. There's a good chance that the traditional way it's made probably has some inflammatory ingredients, but let's just look at how we can break it down and create something even more delicious, but that's also feeding our bodies healthfully as opposed to pulling health away. And
Mm.
so I was so honored to be on that trip with you in Costa Rica, which again, thank you 1 million times. Um, and so I was inspired by the flavors there. So I just literally Googled, what is a typical Costa Rican meal? And, we made the pan fried dorado, which was the also uh, English version, mahi mahi. We did
Yes.
the mango salsa. We did the tostones. Although I baked them a bit uniquely. I remember you had some feedback, which I actually appreciated.
No, nobody said
But
anything negative. We were just talking about the difference between maduros and tostones. Remember?
good
Yeah.
memory.
So no, they were delicious. No.
I'm glad. No, yeah, I mean, we all ate them, right?
Yes. I
We
actually am
all
not
ate
a
them.
fan of fried food. So tostones is not my favorite food. Maduros, however. So to the audience, what I'm speaking about is the difference between fried sweet plantain, which is, or I say plantain now because it's an English tin. That's not how I grew up saying it. Plantain is how we say it.
Mhm.
Um, is pan fried, and then maduros is once or twice deep fried in oil, whereas maduros is typically fried in butter. And well, anyway, we won't go. Now my mouth is watering. So
I
go ahead.
know. I'm like, ooh, it all sounds good to me. Yum.
But yeah, the
Yum.
tostones are deep fried. I'm not a fan of fried food. It's a very popular food, and I thought your baked version was excellent because I do love
Mhm.
crunch. Crunch is good.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
I'm so glad. And then you featured me in the magazine. So, listeners, if you want any of this mouth-watering deliciousness, please go to Culturesmag and you'll get the recipes there.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, so now you are taking a whole group to Costa Rica.
I
Tell us about
am.
that. Tell us about that.
Once again, thank you to Donnie for your inspiration. But yes, there will be 8 women. We will be in Costa Rica, actually in Yaco, Costa Rica. So we'll be on the Pacific side. And this is sincerely a women's retreat in every sense of the word. So it's for my women who are over 40. A lot of us are dealing with hormonal issues, and
Mm,
I want the women at this retreat to have a place to not only learn how to manage some of those issues through food, but also through relaxation. And so there will be massage. We'll actually have one of your colleagues, Andrea, there to help with the
columnist,
essential
yeah.
oils experience.
Mhm.
We'll also have a few excursions, and so the real big picture is I want these women to know and feel that they are the queens that they are, but to have this time away from the demands of business and of children and
Mm.
of general life stresses to be able to relax. And so, yes, I'm very excited. It'll be in March of this year.
So it's sold out, or you have one spot left?
At the time of this recording, I do have one spot left. It
Okay.
recently opened up because sadly one of our participants had some physical issues, so she had to back
Mm.
out. But yes, one spot open at this point.
Okay, and it's on March.
March 1st through
Okay.
5th.
Okay.
And
Got
all
it.
the
Got it.
information is michellefox.com/retreat. And all of the juicy deets are there.
I absolutely love it. Okay, so we've talked about your journey as a child and as a ballerina. We've talked about how that brought you back to your home state of Colorado in the United States. We talked about why you became a culinary nutritionist and some of the work that you've done that we've featured. So, tell us a little bit about your everyday. Like I said, I really love your social posts. And uh, am I mistaken? Are you not an introvert as well?
I am an introvert, and every time I take a test, it flips, like, either 49, 51,
Oh,
introvert or
really?
extrovert, so I'm literally right. It depends, I guess, on my mood or the day, and maybe that's part of my
Mm, good.
astrology because 'cause I'm also on the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius, so, one
Mm,
very introvert, one very like, "Look at me!" So I as I age, I see that I choose what I feel like when I wake up.
yes. These are facts, man. These are facts.
Mhm.
No, I've had to, it's interesting. We talk about age and you're talking about nutrition and how that affects. I haven't had, so I'll be, what's today? Today, I'll be 53 in 10 days.
Woot woot.
Mm. And I haven't had too many issues, right? Um, but here's what I was thinking this morning when I woke up. I think so. I realized, or I found out that anxiety is something that could come along with menopause.
Yes.
That was shocking.
Yeah.
So I think I do have that because I'm like, what's happening? Where is this who is this person? Like something's just innocuous would happen. And I'm like, why am I reacting this way? So that's
Mhm.
one. And that's good to know because that can really affect your relationships. It could affect how you deal with people. And then I'm like, why am I freaking out? And then the next minute you're fine. You're like, okay, what just happened?
Exactly. Exactly, and I will add, I've been tracking the moon cycles lately to look at how
Mm.
I feel there. So with the full moon, I feel very expansive and want to be
Mhm.
visible, and then when we have the new moon, I'm very much introverted and just want to do my blogs or do my writing, or I don't wanna be with people, and so I've been looking at that lately as well.
Oh, I'll have to look at that. I should look at coming to your retreat. I might be in Costa Rica from um February 1 through March 31. I'm also supposed to visit our art director in Mexico. So I'm trying to figure that out. But
I would love,
I
love, love to have you in this circle, especially because like, half the people that will be
do
there.
I
You do. You
I'm
do.
sure we would have a blast. My
Yeah.
other thing with menopause, so I feel very lucky, very fortunate. I'm just now realizing the anxiety or, like not being able to handle so many things. Like I used to pride myself on so many things would come in, almost like your dad. So I have to watch that. And they would come in, and it was like I was a filter, and I could just, And not anymore. Mm-mm. No, I need like if there's two things happening, I might freak out just a little bit. Like
Proud
I
of
have to deal
you.
with the one, right? But the other thing that's my major issue is bloating. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Almost everything that I would eat. So I can't eat any. I thank God I'm not a fan of processed food. Thank God I like whole foods. Thank God I like vegetables. But if I stray from that, which traveling the last couple of years, that's hard. There's many countries that vegetables are not their favorite.
Right. Or they just like to fry them up and think that that's something healthy.
And
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm dying, I'm dying. So yeah, the bloating is real, and people don't talk about that. They talk about these other, like hot flashes and things like that, like they're normal. And I'm sure for a lot of people they are, but for me, that's not what's normal. And I'm glad I finally figured it out. But your nutrition focuses on that, right? When you talk about balancing hormones and what people can do to live their best health, most healthful life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So, specifically, I have a group coaching program. We're going to actually run Healthy Sexy May this year, which I'm really excited. And the information will be coming forth very soon. But in that program, it's a 6 week coaching program. We have three pillars. And so, of course, nutrition, mindset, and then fitness. And so, yes, to your point, not everybody deals with the hot flashes, not everybody deals with the bloating, but a lot of us deal with all of it. And so I say, let's look at all three of these areas. As a culinary nutritionist, naturally, I lean more into the nutrition piece, and that's probably the biggest piece that we really focus on and tackle. But I really try to look at the whole person and to help my clients to look at their whole person and the way that they're showing up
Mhm.
in the world and the way they want to show up in the world. But yes, the diet can definitely significantly decrease all of the symptoms that we're trying to avoid.
Well, I know for me too, supplementation and vitamins and minerals have been key, and those have been key ever since I had a surgery when I was 39, and I've had to watch it ever since then. Like I never really bounced back fully, and anytime I'm a little off, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I might need some magnesium and some iodine. So I was
That was going to be
like,
my first question to you. Are you on a magnesium supplement? And then a B. And there's B12. Yes. I'd say
yes,
magnesium and
and
B12 are
D3.
essential.
Yeah, B12, D3, magnesium, iodine, all the things.
Good.
Um,
Good,
I
good.
and I'm not going to tout a specific brand, or maybe I should just talk about it because it is a little different than a green juice. But I'm a fan of AG1 Athletic
Ooh,
Greens, and I have it every day. Like there was a time that it really made a huge difference. And I don't know if you knew, for a while, for probably about 5 years, I did deep cleanses, 90-day cleanses. Well, they were 44-day cleanses, but they were 90 days long because after the 44 days of cleansing, which had to do, it was a very biblical thing I found out later, but um the rest of the time was reintroducing foods to see what affected you, right? But the
mhm.
total was 90 days and very strict. um I absolutely loved it. But then over time, it lost its effectiveness for me and it felt more like weight loss. And so I felt like I was yo yoing and I wasn't trying to lose weight. I just really wanted the effect, which was also the supplementation. That's really what I needed, and that's what made a difference. So I don't do those cleanses anymore. I'm fighting the urge right now to do one because I really want to do one because they were so effective. But again, the last one I did, it was more of a weight loss effect, and I don't want that. So anyway, yeah, because like I said, you yo-yo back and forth if you do that. So I'm trying to make sure I incorporate all the health things, know what supplements I need, so that I don't have to go back and forth like that. And I find it interesting. I love that you focus on the nutrition because I think and that particular cleanse was physician led. I think though that the physician also would lose sight of what your particular goal was because most people's goal was losing weight, right? And that
Mhm.
was a symptom of making sure that you're in balance, right? Or not a symptom, and an outcome of making sure you're in balance. But I think over time, because most people came to her saying, "Hey, I want to lose weight," that was her focus. And yeah, I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to do that.
And that's the thing. I would say 9 out of 10 participants in my programs all
Mm,
report losing weight. However, not once do I talk about losing weight in our programs. Like that is never
nice.
the
I love
focus.
it.
Our focus is eating for our body types. And when you figure out what works, what feels good, then your body naturally gets to its natural state. And the excess pounds and the excess toxins tend to fall off and fall out. So, yes, I'm a strong believer in eating for our body types.
Fantastic. So when you say body types, give us a little glimpse. Like, what are the body types that you talk about?
Yes. So in the spirit of our multicultural conversation and platform here, I will share that people of color, all colors, people that have extra melanin in their skin are typically allergic to dairy products. And I know I might
Mm,
get pushback because I get pushback from my own family. However, I strongly believe, and the research shows, that cow's milk is made for baby cows.
yeah.
The reason I also bring that up in this context is because Northern Europeans do have enzymes in their stomachs to be able to process dairy milk perfectly fine. And so, whereas I still have issues in the way that, milk is I was going to say produced, manufactured. Just the treatment of cows is not always that humane. And so, just in general, I just do not recommend it for anybody. However, there are certain humans in the world who can process dairy milk just fine. So, that's just
Hmm.
one example. Another example I want to add is wheat. I also strongly believe that specifically here in the United States, wheat is just not harvested the way it was, 50 years ago when our grandparents were eating it.
Yes.
So people might not identify with, oh, I'm gluten intolerant, but I will tell you that because of the chemicals and the way that the soil has been turned over so many times, the nutrients just are not there. So I also believe most of us are gluten intolerant as well.
You and I talked about that. For me, it's grains as a whole. And you and I've also talked about, because we travel frequently, I don't have that same effect in most other countries that I go to. So it makes it difficult, right? And yeah, it's difficult to, not so much. I mean, for 3.5 years, I literally ate no grains and I was a happy camper. But there's a
Nice.
point where I love lifting weights too. And
Mm.
grains are, I don't want to say an essential fuel, because my doctor would say, no, you could just do that with vegetables. But there was a point that I started eating grains because I was lifting after the 3.5 years. And then I had a massive backlash. It was like, oh my God. And when I say massive, it wasn't like I was binging on grains. It was a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, or some pasta, whole grain pasta in the evening, like once a day. But even for me, that's too much. That's too much.
Yeah.
Rice is my biggest culprit. Corn.
And do you find that, like,
So,
once you start eating any of those substances that your body starts to crave it, like, that much
well,
more and
and that's
often?
what I mean by the backlash. Like all of a sudden now I had to have it. And
Yep.
it wasn't that
Yep.
much, but it didn't take much to literally throw me out of whack. Yeah. Yeah. So,
You're not alone. That actually happens. Because those carbs turn into sugar so fast, and sugar hits the part of our brain where, by the way, crack
mm,
cocaine hits in our amygdala. And so it's very natural that once that gets into our
mm,
system, our bloodstream and our brain's like, "Give me more, give me more." So I
that
try to
makes a
meet
lot of sense.
people where they are. I would never tell anybody to go cold turkey unless, that's your style and you can handle that. But in my programs, we definitely step by step kind of wean ourselves off of
Well, it was
the high
part of my
sugar.
cleanses. So, I mean, the first time it was hard, and I remember after the first cleanse, it was really a detox, but after the first one, I had some yogurt that supposedly was plain. And that, when you talk about cocaine, I almost fainted when I had the
Mm.
first spoonful. Like I had to sit down. My body was so clean. And then I was like, "Oh, I can have this now, right?" And then then I
It
was
was
like,
like,
"Dizzy,"
oh
but anyway, I
my
digress. So
gosh.
So yes, it definitely when I was like, okay, I'm going to start lifting. Let me have some grains. Totally fell off the wagon. Completely fell off the wagon.
Because, you're human. You're not alone.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So you have Healthy Sexy May coming up.
I do. I
What
do.
else can people do to, and of course you have Costa Rica coming up in March, but what else can people do to participate in your programs?
Yes. So if you go to michellefox.com/podcast, you'll not only be able to enjoy our podcast, including the episode with Doni An, which was amazing. Yes. But you'll also, if you scroll down to the middle of the page, you'll see quite a few freebies that you can grab. So that'll
Nice.
get us or get you into our community, but it will also give you free tools to help support your health.
Oh, nice, nice. And then from there, people can decide what is available to them where they can connect with you.
Absolutely. Including my
I
events page. You'll see on the website. I try to be proactive and post my events. I'm a little behind right now, I will admit, but come join any of our events because, as I mentioned, I truly am passionate about creating healthier communities, and I know we can do that one person at a time. So if you show up, you get a little bit here, a little bit there. It's gonna help you improve your own body and your own lifestyle.
I absolutely love it. Thank you, Michelle, for being with us today. Great, great detail, great information.
It is my pleasure. And you always just light me up. And anytime Donnie says show up, I'm like, okay, where and what time?
Well, thank you.
So
I
thank
appreciate that.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to sharing this episode with our audience and to you all meeting Michelle. Have a great day. Thanks for listening or watching Destinations with Doni. Show your support by rating this episode on your podcast platform, wherever you listen to your podcast. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe to get notifications of new episodes because you don't want to ever miss out on any of this cross-cultural goodness.